I'm Joe Duffy for Picks and Parlays. I've got the Thursday night football preview, the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders. I'm going to have 2 prop bets for you and the totals bet, as well as all kinds of information that's going to tell you how we're looking at this game, how to bet this game, and a lot more coming up. The line on this contest, and by the way, all this information, the betting splits I'm about to give you, comes from Odds Logic, a game changer. Love Odds Logic, my newest and one of the best tools I have when it comes to both shopping for lines as well as the contrarian information I like to use, betting splits, etc. This game opened up Green Bay minus 2.5 and 48.5. That was on the look-ahead line. The best lines available right now, Green Bay minus 3.5, minus 105, or Washington plus 3.5 at minus 108. The best totals, according to Odds Logic, over 48 at minus 105, under 48.5 at minus 110. Now, here are the betting splits. 68% of the tickets, 64% of the money is on the Packers. And that's fairly common where the public generally likes to bet sides, so there's nothing out of the ordinary there. The splits on the totals, 60% of the tickets on the over, but 62% of the money is on the under. And if that holds, a lot of people say that implies sharp money on the under. When you compare the money to the number of bets, go with the money is a metric that a lot of people like to use. By the way, you want my picks, and I've been winning since 1988. We got a special for you. Please visit Picks and Parlays. All my picks this week, $69. $69. All sports, and don't forget baseball. Been winning in great year in baseball. Been winning in baseball since 1988. Please just enter the coupon code of winner69. Insert your own jokes. Come on, we're all adults here, but you'll see there's a coupon code winner69. All my picks, every sport for 7 days, $69. Now, of course, both of these teams are 1-0 straight up. The Packers, with their impressive win over the Detroit Lions, we had it as a premium bet. I told you one of the stronger contrarian plays I've seen in quite a few years happened right there in week 1. We're on the proper side of that. What I was impressed by for the Commanders, look, I always want to see a super stud quarterback when he's coming off of a career year, or more importantly, coming off a great first year, and especially, which is the case with Jaden Daniels, of course, when it was his rookie year. It's always, show me you can follow it up, and Daniels did have at least a pretty good game in game 1 against the Giants, showing that he is for real. He might just be a top 5 quarterback, but of course, this is going to be an even bigger test for him. But again, I always love to see guys who show they can follow up a great year with another year, especially since defenses are adjusting to this guy. They've had a full off season to look at how to defend him. And then Daniels, of course, has the burden of high expectations this year, but you can't complain about his first game against the Giants. He had 233 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. Now, among the weapons we like to use, I like to use computer simulators. There's a couple that we do like. Sportsline gives Green Bay a 64% chance of covering. That's fairly good for them. 31-21 projected final they have, of course, obviously with the Packers winning. Massey ratings, which has been around forever, and they're still pretty darn good. We like to balance. We know the strengths and weaknesses of each one of the ratings, but they have the Packers winning 24-19, so that would be Green Bay and the under. Sports betting dime isn't too bad, especially as corroborating when it agrees with some of our other sources. They have the Pack 26 to 21.4. Again, we're talking about power ratings. No, you can't wind up with 21.4 points, but that is what the power ratings are. Now, I've been winning with systems forever. Underdogs of 4, since before most of you were born. I've been winning with computer systems since before most of you were born. My first computer program was written by a guy by the name of Dr. Mike Orkin. Google him. He's a very prominent statistician. That was, back in the 1990s. I think the early 1990s we were using computer software by him, and it's been great ever since. I definitely use some other stuff now, but computer software has been great to me, specifically when it comes to systems. Underdogs are 4 or less in the first 3 weeks of the season. 156, 118, and 11. That would obviously favor Washington. When there's a certain amount of uncertainty and maybe overreaction to the previous year, not surprising that underdogs do pretty well early in the season. Teams that rush for at least 220 yards in a win that went under the total, 39-13 the next week, that would be Washington. That would favor Washington. Washington is 9-0 against the spread with less than a full week rest and off of a win. Another great system, favorites of 2.5 or more playing on a short week who were also at least 3-point favorites in the last head-to-head matchup are 40-12 against the spread. And that favors Green Bay. And you want to know what? As I do some self-evaluation, a couple of the systems I've been able to require, so many of them have to do with how these teams did in the previous matchup. And maybe I need to start weighing these a little more heavily, especially since we're talking about the previous year and even in some of these non-divisional games. We can even be talking about 2-3 years ago. But it is amazing how many really statistically significant systems have to do with how teams did in their previous matchup. Washington is 13-7-1 the last 2 years, so they've been a great spread team, obviously, in no small part due to the fact Jaden Daniels, by every indication, looks like he is a franchise quarterback and had one of the better rookie years that a quarterback has had in many, really, one of the better rookie years that a quarterback's ever had, as he was quite impressive. They're 9-3-1 in non-divisional games since 2024. Now, we can't overlook, again, when it comes to what I like to call organic handicapping, there are a lot of people who I trust, who I like to weigh their opinions against my advanced analytics stuff. When I say organic handicapping, it's people that, the old-fashioned type stuff, old school. They evaluate how the teams match up personnel-wise, and you don't have to be a genius. See, Micah Parsons got to be the biggest offseason acquisition by anybody. He clearly strengthening the Packers defense. That being said, he was a little bit limited. Remember, he was questionable heading into last week's game, and he didn't play in the full number of snaps. It is a short week, but as I did some research, I'm thinking he's going to be about 90%. So Parsons is going to be quite a force. Of course, an extra couple days to learn the playbook, but when you're as good as him, sometimes, you don't even need to draw up anything all that fancy. You need to draw up something fancy to block him. But Parsons, I know, you always want your guys to know the playbook inside and out, but when you're that good, just let him, freelance. So I do expect Parsons, from all the research I've done, to be fairly close to 100% this week. All right. Do got some free picks for you. Got some free picks for you from Joe Duffy. Picks and parlays. Matthew Golden, Green Bay, under 18.5 longest yards reception. We're really going to look at a lot of prop bets involving Golden to go under. He was only on the field for less than 60% of Jordan Love's dropbacks last week. He was only targeted 9% of the time. The Pack was quite successful and on a short week. Maybe they're not going to make all that many adjustments. They're probably going to stick pretty close to the game plan. That's usually what happens when you got both a short week and you're coming off an impressive week. Look, they beat the Detroit Lions. That was pretty darn impressive. So I'd be surprised if Matt LaFleur is going to make any massive changes here. Pack ran on 54% of their offensive snaps. Wouldn't be surprised if they're fairly ground heavy here. They now do face a pretty tough Washington defense. It only allowed 126 yards last week to the receivers. Only allowed receivers 126 yards now. Of course, it was the Giants, but again, the Giants' best player, Neighbors, Neighbors is a wide receiver, so that's still a fairly impressive stat. Yeah, they're going to be facing a better offense this week, but, you can't deny that their pass defense did look pretty impressive. So we do like him, Golden, to go under the 18.5 yards on the longest reception. But as more sports books come out, take a look at his unders. Unders total yards, under number of receptions. Think he's going to be a good under bet this week for sure. One of our better computer simulators, Jordan Love. You may have heard of him. Green Bay Packers quarterback. Over 223.5 passing yards. Our top simulator has him projected at 259.5. So that's a nice over play. Also, for Krosky, merit under 10.5 rushing attempts. That is plus 100. As we have a simulator that has him carrying the ball 9.3 times. So that's a 17% EV. So him to go under. And now I'm going to have the total for you. But again, please remember, all of my picks for $69. $10 a day if you enter the coupon code of winner69. All right, I got Green Bay and Washington to go over the 48.5. I got a math over, essentially a system and a metric that works in all sports. All sports, if you take a math total based on both of the teams' points for and points against, and you come up with a math total, then you compare it to the total. When it seems to be artificially high, the knee-jerk reaction would be to bet the under, right? Or if it seems artificially low, the knee-jerk reaction would be to bet the over. No. We use the odds makers' knowledge against them. When a line seems counterintuitive or a total seems counterintuitive, go with their knowledge. This total seems like it's actually a little bit too high. And the squares might say, you got to bet the under. No, the sharps, we got a system that says 944, 707, and 28. And, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I hear people say, is this a trap? Well, no, there is no such thing as a trap line, but there is a message inside the trap line. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in other videos. So, again, Washington and Green Bay over the total. And it could be a premium pick. It's not a premium pick yet. I'd like for some other metrics to come in, but I do have a wise guy play on the side. I've got 2 college football winners for Thursday. Got 2 college football winners for Friday up, and I know I've looked at myself. I'm going to have a big portfolio Saturday and Sunday. Going to be working on that as soon as I'm done talking to you here, as a matter of fact. Joe Duffy's picks at Picks and Parlays. And again, click right here for more winning videos. Right here for more winning videos.